draw comics, and that's where it all started.
Very creative. Here's a
Yeah.
question: Marvel or DC?
I would probably say more Marvel. Although I mean, if you you probably can't see this behind me, but I've got a mural here. You can see a
Yes.
little hint of Superman over here, and Spider-Man. So I've got a mural that wraps around this room that I painted, and it's basically the Marvel and DC characters facing off. So my original love would have probably been, I would have said DC because of Super Friends and Batman and things like that. Um, and in the beginning, most of the media, it seemed like DC had better stuff. Like they had the Batman and Superman the movie, and it took Marvel forever to get movies and stuff out like that. And I would watch like the Incredible Hulk show, and they had a short-lived Spider-Man show that I watch and stuff like that. So I mean, I recognize the difference, but I like them both, But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say a little more on the Marvel side. But I still love DC. I love both those lines and everything. So that's why they're both here in the studio.
That's cool. Have you been watching the MCU as of late?
I think I've watched most. I haven't got all the way through like the Secret Invasion. I still watch it, but I don't know. The last I'm kind of, I don't know if I haven't been like blown away recently, and I don't know if it's I don't know even know if it's a lack of the quality. I still think they make great movies, but I don't know. I think once we get into the, like I mentioned earlier with the death in comics, once you get to the point where you introduce a multiverse, and there's no stakes really, because if somebody
Exactly.
dies, another version of them from another multiverse can come back. And so it's
Exactly.
really hard to get invested. Like, and there's people still do. I'm like, why are you so upset? The character is going to come back, and you learn that with comics, and the movies have kind of caught up to the comics in that respect, where there's not a whole lot of stakes there.
So here's my take. When I walked out of the movie theater after seeing Endgame,
Oh,
this was my immediate reaction after coming out. I said, phase 1 through 3 is going to be labeled the golden age of the MCU.
Right.
And this new phase 4, I think now we're in phase 5, and there'll be 6. I think what we're getting, or from my perspective, this is just my perspective, I think we're getting like a Disney part 2. Does that make any sense? So in Disney movies, back like Aladdin phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying now. The direct-to-video sequels is what you're talking about.
Pretty much. Like it kind of feels that way.
Yeah. I mean, I still think they're good movies, and I mean, but I don't know that there hasn't been anything, and since they're all pretty good, there hasn't been anything that like elevated it. So it's like, okay, these are good, but I don't know. It's just like you got to do something different. I'm kind of hoping that we move more towards smaller, a great story having to do with superheroes, but it doesn't have to be this big giant epic where the whole world is in jeopardy and things. I don't know. I mean, we've kind of seen that, and like, I don't know.
We've already seen it in comics though, because you had Stan Lee, and he literally had the reins and control over the whole Marvel comics and the storylines, and he was the one that was connecting everything together, kind of like Kevin Feige. And just like Kevin, like back in the day with comics, now with the movies, it's gotten so big. How can one person really make this so grandiose or amazing, especially when you're dealing with different writers, directors? I mean, as much as I'm kind of giving crapping on them, I can give them a little leeway and understanding, because that's tough. That's a lot of hands, and
I haven't totally, like, I'll probably still go see any new Marvel movie that comes out, and hopefully I'll be kind of, I don't know. It's hopefully they'll win me back, but we'll see. It's just I'm kind of torn between the idea of I would have died for this when I was a kid. There wasn't, you had to search for stuff like this. And now
no.
superhero movies are the biggest thing ever. And that was not the case back then. You were, you're a nerd. You read comics and stuff. Now it's like the most mainstream thing there is.
No.
And it's just, and there's still characters that they have. Like I said, Alpha Flight was my introduction. They still haven't done anything. And now that Marvel or Disney owns the mutants now, they could bring them in. I don't know if we'll get to that point or not, because I'm like, I thought because we've seen so many characters that I thought you would never see on the big screen, like Aunt May. I mean, well, really?
Oh, yeah.
What? No. Or even deeper cuts than that, even. But they still haven't. I could tell you if they do an Alpha Flight where there's a series or something, I'll be the first one there. But they still haven't done anything really with X-Men yet, and X-Men is kind of the precursor to Alpha Flight. So I don't know if we'll kind of fade out before we get to that point, but that would get me interested, because I'm just such a big fan of that particular property. So because it's what got me into it.
Oh, did you ever read the Sean Howell book, Marvel Comics, The History of Marvel Comics?
No.
It's a really good book. Like,
really?
I've listened to the audiobook probably more times than I should, but it's just this rich history of Marvel Comics. And you talking about Ant-Man, because you just did, you said, it's kind of funny that they've created him. Stan Lee back in the 70s and 80s was trying to get Ant-Man to be a film for the longest time. It was just funny to hear in that book him trying to get this Ant-Man, and some people are just like, like, why Ant-Man? And for you to even say this, and I don't know, it's kind of funny.
yeah
But let's kind of end things off before we, because we're